Hi, this is Gerald Salenti. It's Thursday, May 17th, 2018, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front, everything's up a little bit and down a little bit. Down here in the States, up a little bit in Europe, mixed over in Asia. Gold's flat. Oil was over $80 a barrel. Brent crude back down a little bit. And Bitcoin's down. So, what's going on? Dow closes 55 points lower after President Donald Trump indicated trade talks between the United States and China may not be fruitful. Now, what's really going on is those higher interest rates. That's right. You got it right here. The benchmark 10-year Treasury note yield broke 3.1% for the first time since 2011, while the two-year yield hovered around its highest level in a decade. So what we're talking about here is interest rate sensitivity, and the markets can't take it. And the dollar keeps getting stronger. The dollar right now is at its highest level against the euro, for example, all year. And what does that mean? Well, you know what that means. We've been talking about it for months. Emerging markets, weakest link. And you know what it is right now? Fear of contagion is stalking emerging markets again. The shakeout in emerging markets sparked by the taper tantrum. The turmoil that has hit some vulnerable countries as U.S. rates have risen. So right now, Argentina, their peso is down 23% against the dollar this year. The lira, the Turkish lira, down 15%. And as they say here, and as we've been saying, a further rise in the dollar and U.S. Treasury yields, with the 10-year yield now decisively above 3%, will put more pressure on emerging markets in general. So again, that's if it goes up decisively. So they can't take it. This whole thing's been built on cheap money, and the cheap money is slowing down. Hey, take a look over there in Japan. Yep. What do we got here? The world's third largest economy shrank at an annualized pace of 0.6%. Yeah, Abenomics, negative bond yields. They're running out of games. It's cheap money that's keeping the game going. End of story. And oil. Well, as I said, it hit $80 a barrel today, back down a little bit. But when you're looking at oil, look at the long term. And the Trump sanctions are real, and we said this against Iran. Companies are not going to fight the United States to do business and lose business. So here we have the headline. Total's threat to pull out of Iran dents European Union hopes for saving accord. French group seeks U.S. sanction waiver. Biggest foreign investor in Tehran oil sector. So, of course, that's the French oil company. And the pressure is going to be on oil as these sanctions increase. So, again, we see oil more on the upside than the downside, unless, of course, there's an economic downside, and that may happen as well. Gold, it's flat. No more talking about it other than what we've been saying over and over again. The higher yields go on bonds, the higher interest rates on the dollar, the lower gold. So you could see gold start hitting the next low point, which would be another breakout point, 1,275. Right now it's flirting with the 1290 number. If it goes down below that, and you know our forecast, I've been the only trend forecaster out there sensitive to the gold market that has been saying gold could go another $100 lower. And we don't see it much lower than that, and there are reasons why. And you'll read all about it in your upcoming Trends Journal. Over there in Italy, stock markets rattled by two parties' plan to upend Italy's tie to the EU. Italy's populists dismissed market sell-off after calling for pre-Maastricht setting. That's the Maastricht Agreement. And that was what happened with the beginning of the euro. And we said it was going to be a disaster when it began and that the money would flow to the top. And that's exactly what happened. As soon as we have considered a five-star league government, the anxiety has begun, said Luigi Di Maio, 5 Stars leader. I see a certain fear among the Eurocrats, but they don't scare me. Eurocrats, perfect. Eurocrats are a lower class of globalists. They're in the globalist club. Italy's populists pine for pre-Euro times. Not only the Italy's populists all over the world who see their standard of living declining, like right here in the United States. Almost half of U.S. families can't afford basics like rent and food. A report that just came out. Oh, what's going to happen when oil prices go up? Oh, it's going to boost retail sales, I tell you. And the economy will be great. This thing will go down if those prices go too high. And you can see it in the numbers. The numbers don't lie. The politicians do. And the prostitutes lie for them. And speaking of which, liars, controversial nominee Gina Haspel confirmed as first female CIA director. And now we got a woman in charge. And it'll be wonderful in the CIA. And of course, they held back a lot of information about her that they wouldn't let loose to see more about her illustrious time in the years, 33 years of a CIA career. And again, you've heard me say this before. Race, creed, color, religion, whatever you want to call it, good and bad comes in all of them. But I can't say that when anything has to do with Israel, because we've been getting complaints about the trend alerts and what I've been saying regarding what happened with the massacre of innocent people in Gaza, living in an impoverished open-air prison with no future, hardly any electricity, a couple of hours a day, and not much water. How dare they rebel? They should know their place. And again, it's against international law what the United States did by moving the embassy there, and Israel continues to break international law by stealing more Palestinian land. But those are only facts. I could criticize America's military murder, but I can't say anything bad about Israel. So again, going back to Haspel, race, creed, color, gender, it doesn't matter. Good and bad comes in all of them. As a matter of fact, the people that complained about what I said, send your letters to, I would have never thought he would have done it. That's right, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Wednesday called for an independent investigation into the killing of 61 unarmed Palestinians during protests on the Gaza border last Monday. Quote, Canada calls for an immediate independent investigation to thoroughly examine the facts on the ground, including any incident, violence, and the excessive use of force, Trudeau said. The Prime Minister also said he's, quote, appalled to learn that a Canadian doctor was among the 2,400 unarmed protesters, media, first responders, and children wounded by Israeli live fire and tear gas. Hey, a good thing they didn't use the same gas that Assad used. Oh, that would have been bad gas. What hypocrisy. Save your comments for somebody else. Don't send them to me. You are a hypocrite and a fraud and a phony if you believe in your way is the only way and the only right way for murder. And Senator Trudeau. But of course, Israel justified the killings by citing the need to defend its borders. They had battalions out there defending their borders with people with slingshots and rocks. Oh, and they had grenades. Yeah, Molotov cocktails. Well, they have one of the biggest armies in the world. Anyway, moving on. Oh, don't forget those 400 nuclear weapons they have, but nobody else is allowed to have them, and they will not join in the nuclear agreements. They won't even admit to having them. Pentagon has no plans to scale back military operations in South Korea after threats from North Korea. This is according to the Pentagon spokeswoman, Dana White. Oh, a spokeswoman. Oh, talking about aggression. I can't believe it. And Bolton draws North Korea's ire. This is our, of course, new national security director. And they said, we shed light on the quality of Bolton already in the past, and we do not hide our feeling of repugnance toward him. So their first vice minister of foreign affairs. And Trump came out today and said that if Libya doesn't go along with this plan, if North Korea doesn't go along with this plan, they may find the Libya solution. And that's why the North Koreans don't like Bolton, because that's what Bolton has said before. He said, the U.S. won't ease economic pressures until North Korea gets rid of its nuclear weapons. He cited Libya's agreement in 2003 to eliminate its nuclear program as a template for talks with North Korea. So, of course, North Korea knows what happened to Gaddafi. And so Trump says today that if they don't go along with the plan, the Libya model, quote, would take place if we don't make a deal, most likely. Murder's wonderful, isn't it? And moving on. More than 90% of the global population is breathing in high levels of pollutants, the World Health Organization said Wednesday. Watchdog fears rise in air conditioning units will push up gas emissions. The spread of air conditioning in hot countries is said to create a huge increase in demand for electricity, threatening efforts to curb greenhouse gases, according to the International Energy Agency watchdog. I'm mentioning this because products, clean air, clean food, clean, healing products is going to continue to be big business for people that want to become entrepreneurs in a healthy state of mind and body and spirit. And you keep going on with the information, whether it's outside or inside. A quarter of Americans spend all day inside. Could you imagine that? 24 hours. And you look at the results of what's going on in this country. Fertility rate again falls to record lows. Confounding demographers. Oh, you confounded? Maybe this will help you. Too busy for sex? Americans are scheduling lovemaking, survey says. Yeah, isn't that great, huh? Got to put it on a schedule. Just can't pop up and happen. No. We got to write it down and schedule it. Yeah. And what else? Eating fast food linked to infertility. Women who eat a lot of fast food may take longer to become pregnant and be more likely to experience infertility than their counterparts who rarely, if ever, eat these types of meals, recent studies show. Oh, but It's confounding demographers. What are demographers? All they know is numbers. Speaking of food, processed foods are driving up rates of cancer. A major study reveals the health treats include cereal, energy bars, sausage, and chocolate. And put it all together, plus sizes find better retail fit. Americans are getting bigger, and retailers, after years of ignoring plus size, shoppers are starting to notice. Chains including Nordstrom and Target Corp are boosting their plus size offerings and displays next to standard sizers. More than 70% of U.S. adults aged 20 and older were overweight or obese as of 2014. Wonder what it looks like now. Huh? So there you got it. Wonder why there's not a lot of sex and funk? I can't figure it out. Can't be what you eat, what you think, what you believe, what you do, and how you do it. And that's what it's all about. You know the words of Mr. Boogie. You better boogie before the lights go out, because tomorrow is iffy. And the greatest freak show on earth that's going on right now, tomorrow has never been more iffy. This is Gerald Celente, and that's